Hello, everybody. This is Bruce from Oregon. It's the Bruce from Oregon show. It's episode 0. It might be the first, it might be the last. Let's all find out. Now, today we're doing another episode in my Management Best Known Practices series. It's a Tuesday, so that's what we do. It's raining outside. My dog is guarding the front yard. So let's get into it. Now, today I want to cover a short topic. At least I always think it's going to be a short topic, and then later I've got a 20 or 30-minute video done. But anyway, that's the way it goes. So today the topic is helping others be successful as a manager. And this sounds intuitive once you hear it, but what I've found is not a lot of managers think about this or even practice this all the time. So we're going to talk about it. I'm going to give a few examples from my real life in general terms, not specifics, but in general, and we'll see how it goes. So, we've got I just did a quick search here in the Googles on making others successful, and we've got a few quotes pulled up here. Now, I'm not a super huge fan of platitudes and these inspirational quotes because I have this theory, or Bruce's rule, if you will, that for every sort of vague inspirational quote you can find on Facebook, somewhere there is an equal and opposite quote out there. So, for example, if the quote is like, to be your best, you always need to grow and change, then there's an equal and opposite quote that's like, don't let other people force you to change yourself. Just be true to your authentic self, right? Like these are... They're both sort of right, but it depends on the context and it depends on the details. And details matter and the context matters. But in any case, I will give some examples to provide context today. So we have a quote here. It says, "You're not a true success unless you are helping others be successful," by John Gordon. And we've got Eleanor Roosevelt, who says, I like this one, "For our own success to be real, it must contribute to the success of others." So that's very nice. So I want to get into this a little bit. Here's the challenge. When you first become a manager at your job and you have to manage other people, I think one of the biggest challenges is learning to delegate tasks, because you spend a lot of your early years in your career, going to college or going to school, community college, tech school, whatever it is, learning a trade through an apprenticeship program. And you spend a lot of time developing the skill to do a lot of things yourself, writing software, woodworking, fixing cars, whatever it is. And so you spend a lot of time. You need to spend a certain amount of time becoming an expert at something. There's books that say you got to spend 10,000 hours doing something before you're really an expert, all that kind of stuff. And to some extent, that's true. You need to do this. But at some point, if you become a manager, or if you want to be a manager right out the gate, sometimes the problem can be delegating enough to your employees and knowing what to delegate to which employees that you manage. And this is a tricky thing, and it takes some time to learn. You want to give your most complex problems to your most capable employees. You want to give, simpler problems or easier tasks to your newest employees so that they can ramp up and they won't be overwhelmed right off the bat when they join your team. So these are some things you can do. And the other trick is making others successful. So I've seen cases where a manager will have their team or some people on their team do a bunch of incredible work. And then what I observe outside their team is the manager or the tech lead of that team will put their own name first in the biggest font on a PowerPoint slide set and then go present the work all over the place. Or will write a status report where their status report doesn't tell me what that manager did during the week or the month or whatever the cadence of the status report is. It talks about what their team members did. And it's kind of fine, but I also want to see, what did that manager themselves do? in addition to what did their team do. I want to see the team members in that advocate for themselves. I want to see the people that did the work present the work. I want to see the people that wrote the software use the software to learn something new and report on it. So that is one thing that I tried to practice as a manager in order to make others be successful before me. I didn't just take my team's work and go present it in a bunch of forums so that I could get a promotion or get a bunch of awards. I wanted my team members to make those presentations and give those presentations and get the awards. So that's number one. Another example is around that delegation again. I actually had somebody who was a higher, technical pay grade than me tell me once that they were surprised because I had a employee who I felt was highly capable, and I had that employee go to a particular work group every week and represent my team, comment on the things they need to comment on in that work group, take, job opportunities from that work group, things to do, tasks, and then go accomplish them and report back in that work group. And I did not attend that work group. Okay. I did other things with my time. So this was a time management task. And I basically let my employee get in the deep end of the pool and sink or swim. And I knew that my employee could swim. Okay. I had a lot of confidence. Let's just put it that way. You can never be 100% on these things, but you have to have enough confidence to where you can make a yes or no decision. And so that's what I did. And I tried to do that as much as I could um, because I think that helps the employees gain a sense of independence. They learn to operate on their own. They don't need their hand held. They don't need micromanagement. And you have to do that sort of thing in order to make them more successful. Another thing I did as a manager over the years was I was okay with promoting people beyond where I was. So everybody in a company, like I worked in a big company, everybody is moving, learning, growing, uh, achieving results at a different rate. And this is normal. And it's fine because a career is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And when I had employees that I knew could grow beyond what my team's scope was or the pay grade of the people that reported to me, I wanted to spend time not just telling that employee what to do, give them tasks and manage their work. Okay. I wanted to go above and beyond and figure out how can we find opportunities when they arise to let these people, go after everything they can go after, achieve more than maybe I care to achieve at this point in my career, you know. So if my scope in my job was around a certain set of work and I managed a team, let's say, for a long time I was happy with where I was. I didn't need more. Like, I wasn't one of these people that's like, I need a promotion, I need $1 billion, I need way more money, I want to be the CEO. I just wanted to go to work and work on interesting things, learn new things, solve problems, build things, think about things. I was fine. I get a paycheck, go in and earn that paycheck, right? And that was fine for me. But when I had other employees, and on occasion, in my mind, I can think of at least 2 or 3 employees I had where it was like, I need to get these people to a place where they can maybe get promoted to grade levels higher than me, or at least get promoted to the grade level that I'm at. And I couldn't do that by being their manager myself. So I had to figure out where to put these people or which opportunities to align these people to when those opportunities arose in order to give them those opportunities. And a lot of times I see managers, they want to build a team and they don't want to let anybody go because they're worried about, like, oh, well, we got to get these 10 things done in Q4. But look, you can always figure out how to get other things done and grow your team and change your team over time. If you try to hold on to things too long or keep your team static and just doing the same things over and over again every quarter, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for you as a manager. It's not going to be good for your employees. So that's another thing to think about. And in terms of getting things done, sort of the third example I wanted to cover today in today's video was, at one point we had a new technology that we were going to be working on. And this new technology really needed a few extra people working on a particular part. Let's just put it that way. Like, there was a new part that didn't exist before that we had to create. And there was nobody in sort of the larger picture saying, hey, this aspect of this new technology needs 3 people to work on something. That was only apparent at the level of the employees and the first level managers, and maybe a second level manager or two that were working on the project. And when finances are tight, you may not be able to get those 3 people to work on that thing that needs to get worked on. And you have to figure out how to deal with this or how to manage this issue or this gap. And so sometimes I think managers think that their job is just to tell their employees what to do, make sure the work is socialized and recognized, manage the work, move headcount around within their org chart, go to meetings, give your opinion on things. But I think sometimes being a manager is more recognizing when you can do something that no one told you to do and get it done so that something happens that would not have otherwise happened. So, for example, in this situation I mentioned before, where we have this new technology and I need to find like 2 or 3 people to work on this thing within the company, I actually found I had a contact from my professional network in the company, and there just happened to be a conference going on down in Texas. At the whatever it was, the Alamo River Walk or whatever. And I said, look, I'm going to be at this conference. And I knew someone who was a manager. They were going to be at the conference. I'm like, let's talk because I want to understand what your team is doing. And I want to tell you about what my team is doing now. And we're both going to be at this conference. And they were finishing up a particular set of projects for another team. And this team was in a different geography. It wasn't in Oregon or California. And I talked to this person and I'm like, look, there's nobody that's going to work on this thing over here that I can explain, this new technology. And I think you need like 1, 2. And this guy looked at it and said, I think you need 3 people. I was like, maybe 1 or 2 because I was trying to be conservative. And we got that guy to put his team on the job. And I didn't have a boss that told me to do this. There was no process in place to make this happen, tops down, from a management perspective. Sometimes I think the job of a manager is to go do things that are outside the normal day to day and figure out how to make, opportunities happen, whether that's for the product you're building or whether that's for the people you're working with or the people in your personal professional network. Like knowing what are the capabilities out there that different people have? And can I put those together in a new creative way that didn't exist before to get something done that I think needs to get done? Because there's never going to be a recipe or a set of instructions for how to do everything perfectly at a job. So as a manager, you need to think a little bit about, is there something I could do? Is there something I could spend time on? Defining a gap, identifying a gap, figuring out who can work on something new, prioritizing some different tasks in a different way than we used to. And I think this is really related to making other people successful before just worrying about making yourself successful. Because if you can make the people on your team, if I have 10 people reporting to me and I can make them all more effective, you know, I know it's qualitative, it's not quantitative. But if I can make all 10 of those people more effective, that's 10 times better than just making myself more effective or making myself look better in front of upper level managers or something like that. And this can be within your own team and it can be with teams you interact with and work with. If you can make connections between teams work more effectively, that is going to be exponential for the efficiency and the results you get out of those multiple teams. And so that's my advice today is just to think about how can I as a manager make the people I work with, make my teams, make my direct reports, make my teammates, my peers in my organization more successful every day. And how can you make them more successful as a first priority? And then, of course, how can you personally learn and grow and develop yourself as well as a second priority? As a manager, you need to put your employees first and yourself second. And of course, this is if there's like if you got to go to the hospital, go to the hospital. If you have an injury or something, like, of course. But modulo these kind of, corner case examples. As a manager, just try to make your team more successful first. And think about how you can do that, either through the normal day to day processes or non linearly when new opportunities arise or new problems are there or there's new gaps, new technology, whatever it is. And it's just something to be on the lookout for and be ready to spend some of your time on it. And remember the story I told before where I said, okay, my employee is going to go to this work group and I'm not going to go hold his hand and go to the work group too and just oversee everything. I'm going to spend my time doing something else. And what is it I'm spending my time, uh, when I'm not at that work group? It's trying to be a better manager and follow these management best known practices like making others successful before me. And that's how you get the time back, really. So that's what I've got today, guys. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. If you have suggestions for other management topics you want to hear about, put them in the comments. I have a whole huge list over here on my clipboard. So there's no dearth of opportunities for us to talk about management and how to be a good manager at work. And that's what we're going to do every Tuesday. All right, guys. This is Bruce Morgan. This has been the Bruce Morgan Show. It's raining out. I'm going to go get some more coffee because mornings are for coffee and contemplation. And that is what I'm going to do next. Talk to y'all later. If you've made it this far, thanks for your time.